Hidden agendas, government secrets, and chilling truths behind modern human experimentation. In this X-Files inspired episode, we dive into the shadowy world of real-life conspiracy, one that echoes the darkest corners of the X-Files. Stories of covert testing, psychological manipulation, and medical experiments may sound like science fiction, but what if they're still happening now? With tarot as our lens, we'll explore the unseen layers of these disturbing possibilities, beyond headlines and into hidden truths. Let's begin the reading. Hello everyone, welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time on this channel. We are going into X-Files Inspired Episode 5, starting with question 1 right now. So are covert experiments on humans happening in the present day? Straightforward question there. Are covert experiments on humans happening in the present day? And we start with Oracle here because it doesn't care what I think. And then we move on to Tarot for more information. I, Robot is the first card out. And before I say anything, I am going to pull another card here. Sometimes they're so straightforward and other times it's like, maybe. I've never been to me. Okay, so I feel like with iRobot, there is a lot of secret stuff going on here. If you remember the movie iRobot, it literally was about a computer system that kind of evolved to the point of taking over. And Sunny, this robot, was unique. And that was not okay. Wasn't supposed to be unique. But I think those privileged ones, those in power, would really like us to be all alike. And those that are not alike, they want to make sure that they find out why. So are covert experiments on humans happening in the present day? I do believe they are. And they're being done in such a way, it looks like, that they are having these unique individuals. They're to the point, by the time that they're done, that they really don't even know who they are or what their life experiences have been. It's like they wipe their minds. It's almost what it seems like. Dragonfly. Yeah, I really do believe that these people... Now, this Dragonfly card can be one of two things. It can be people who pass away. So in other words, like the experiments are done to the point where finally the people that are being experimented on just die. It's been too much. The other is a possibility that the people who are being tested are capable of seeing beyond the veil. But I almost feel like the first explanation is probably the correct one. Men in Black. I think the justification that comes from this testing, is what it says on the card here. It says, protecting the earth from the scum of the universe. I feel as though the privileged actually believe that we aren't worthy, that we are basically the scum of the universe, and that what they do to us, they are justified in doing. Because we could be a danger to others if we're unique. Oh, didn't have to do that because... All right. Will it go round in circles? Michael. And Lucky. This is something that's been going on for a long, long time. Long, long time. And it's being done by those people who, if you were to see them on the street, they would look like normal people. In fact, they might even be considered by their church members or church going friends or whatever to be absolute saints. But as it says on this card, he's an angel, not a saint. So I'm not saying that the people who are doing this are angels. No, I'm just adding the he's not a saint part in there. And for those who forget basically who they are, they're probably the lucky ones in all this. If they can't remember a life outside of, you know, the testing and things like that, they're probably the lucky ones. So let's see what Tarot has to add here. We have the Seven of Cups. The people that are considered unique have a lot of different talents, and those talents are usually brought about through emotions. Wheel of Fortune. It is a very different thing. These people change from here to here. After the testing, they can't help but change. So it's almost like they've taken the uniqueness and they've somehow strained it out of them. They've changed them from this unique being to this person who doesn't even know who they are. Ten of Wands. Yeah, they're basically unalive at this point. Dragonfly. Ten of Wands is a completion of the energy. Six of Wands. Yeah, it's a victory for these privileged ones. It's a victory. They recognize us for who we are supposed to be, the scum of the universe kind of thing. It's a victory for them. Six of Pentacles. If we were to go back in history and have access to all the records, real records, not redacted records, we would see that, yes, it's been going on for a very, very long time. Ace of Cups. Yes, these people have unlimited emotion to show, meaning the privileged ones. Nobody would ever guess that they were doing things like this. They're very good at hiding those emotions, replacing those emotions. And Three of Swords. Yep, these people have been betrayed, and they're actually very lucky once they get to this point that they do not remember what life was once. All right, so let's get these picked up. If you're new to my channel, I clean up in a little slower manner. I don't just gather all the cards. I will tuck them into different places in the deck because since the shuffle is so short, I want to make sure that if we get any repeat cards, that they come forth because they're supposed to and not because I didn't shuffle enough. So, and I do the same thing with the oracle cards. They all go in randomly in a pile. Somewhere in the pile. All right, so we're going to be moving on to question 2 here. What types of experimentation are being conducted and to what end? So could it be like genetic manipulation or mind control or frequency testing or other bizarre experiments? What types of experimentation are being conducted and to what end? All right, we have Groundhog Day. So I feel like this is talking about experiments concerning time. Maybe they're sending them, doing time travel with them. Maybe they're making them repeat the same day over and over and over again. Just to see how long they would last. Princess Bride. This could be, well, a couple of things here. It could be having them live in a fantasy world of some sort, making them live in medieval times or whenever Princess Bride took place. It also could be where they threaten them on a regular basis, taking away everyone and everything they love. And could be both. All right, everything is beautiful. I think they're told, or it's made to appear that uniqueness is a good thing. Variety is a good thing. That these, they're told that they should celebrate life, and the reason that they are being tested as they are is because they're special. They're special. When in fact, as we saw in number 1, being unique was a death sentence. Not a quick unalive either. There it is again. I've never been to me. Yeah, this is where they're having superficial experiences. Things that really mean nothing. It's hollow. Everything's hollow. They're emotionally deprived in a lot of ways. Winter, black and white, new start. So, yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with time. A lot of these experiments have to do with time. They have to do with, again, fear and anxiety, creating high levels of fear and anxiety in these people, making them experience different places in time. Again, this is the day over and over and over and over and over to see how long they can stand it. And this is all different places, all different situations that they do over and over and over again. And occasionally they might even let them go back to the life that they had. Not really, okay, but they'll simulate it and make them remember so that whatever they're doing here hits them even harder until eventually they don't have a clue who they are. This is all done so coldly. So coldly. There is no warmth. There's no warmth in any of this at all. These people do not feel any kind of warmth. Everything is just black and white. This is what's done. You do it. We're doing this. You're doing this. That's it. There is no gray area. There's no, if somebody says, I don't feel well, we do this and we do this. Too bad. This is what we do. And They might even be promised a new life after they've gone through this testing. Maybe that's what gets them there to start with, unless they're kidnapped or, something like that. But that's always a promise, is a new start. You're going to have a new start after this. You'll have all the money you could dream of. They use any kind of manipulation, and that's one of the main ones, is that manipulation. So let's see what tarot has to add here. Paints a pretty bleak picture, right? All right, we have 3 of Cups. There are groups working together, people working together to do these experiments. They have to be set up. So there's more than one person that is running this show. Queen of Wands. Yep, they've tried to make it look like it's a very caring and nurturing program. That's the energy of it. That's what it's supposed to be, when it turns out not exactly at all that way. And then the Moon. Yes, they're shown this. They're taken back into their life and shown what a wonderful, unique life that they had. But it's not true. They're not really there. King of Wands. Yeah, there's a main controller to all of this. There's more than one person or more than one group that's doing the experiments, but there is one main person in charge of it all. 5 of Pentacles. Yeah, they don't care one iota about the people that they're experimenting on. Not at all. They are cold as cold can be. The Fool. These people are brought in and they have a very adventurous spirit about it at first, until they get there and suddenly everything is just black and white. 6 of Cups. They remember back, when they first started or first came into the program, they were told they'd get a whole new start, and they remember that regularly until they can't. It's always the promise that's been held over their heads. So that is question 2. We'll be moving on to question 3 here shortly. It's been very quiet today. I've done a couple of readings here, and normally my Chihuahua is laying in his bed next to me, and we will hear snoring on my recording, but he's been in the other room for each recording so far, which I haven't heard a peep. Very different, very strange. All right. Not that he doesn't sleep in the other room sometimes. He does, but a lot of times he snores so loud I can hear it even from there on the recording. All right, so we're going on to question 3. There are 6 questions in this episode. All right, so question 3, where are these experiments taking place and who are the targets? So we're wondering, secret bases or medical facilities, or basically right under our noses, no place special. So where are these experiments taking place, and who are the targets? I think we've determined the targets in question 1 were unique people. Look at that. I think that is a card that says the ones who are targeted are those who they believe will break fairly easily. Or this could be a card too for this particular question, that's these cards or these experiments are being done on, we're going to say, patients in nursing homes, perhaps, allegedly. Fire and rain. I think they are in these experiments, they're told, okay, are to help them heal, to help them release pain and trauma and the trials that they've had in life, that kind of thing. I think that's what they're told. And they're told they're going to go to a beautiful sunny place, somewhere that, you know, that they can lay on the beach, absorb the sun in between sessions, that kind of thing. And when they get to where they're going, all there is fear. Because everything is black and white, and fear is what they're using in the experimentation. Fear is what they're using in saying that, hey, you know, if you don't do it our way, we're going to hurt the ones you love, and so on. Kung Fu fighting. I think they're actually telling them from time to time also that they're going for their physical body. This is a lot of their emotional stuff. But I think for the physical body, they say that they're going to take them someplace where they can learn to defend themselves, as a for instance. And in fact, where they're taken, you know, we have the fear card, can't miss the fear card. Where they're taken, these moves and things are actually used on them. They're not taught them. It's used on them. Bone collector. Suspect. Ghostbusters. So with the bone collector, I think when we're looking at where the experiments are taking place and who are the targets, middle-aged to elderly, I'm thinking. And anybody who is unique, has a unique gift of any kind. They're told they're going for the purpose of emotional pain to heal. A beautiful place, so that's where they're going to take them. But when they discover, or when they get there, there's nothing but fear because it isn't what they were promised. And there are people there who hurt them if they don't do as they're told. This is a very detail-oriented program, or these experiments are very detail-oriented. And the people running them are, I'm going to say, well, we already figured out with winter, they're very unfeeling, very cold individuals. They don't care about what happens to these people. All they care about is the test results. And perhaps when somebody is unalive, they do tests on the bones too, as a guess. And with suspect, we saw here before the privileged would have been Michael. Okay, they're not saints. Most of the time we would not suspect them of anything. However, occasionally they may become suspect, because there are those out there who are urged on. Now remember, this is Ghostbusters. Urged on by those who have been unalived by these experiments. They don't necessarily go to beyond the veil. They may go to people that they know that can see and hear them and try to get help for the other ones that are under experimentation in these places. And it's really not telling us where at this point. It's just telling us that they're taken somewhere that is not great. It is definitely not the fire and rain card. So let's see what tarot has to offer. with this. We have the Five of Wands. There's more than one place, and these places are in competition with one another. And I think they trade. They trade people. So maybe one facility does a certain kind of experimentation in another facility, but they move them around like pawns on a chessboard. Page of Pentacles. Yes, they really do believe that they are going someplace beautiful and that life is going to be, well, the message is life is going to be wonderful after you've been here. Four of Wands. They actually cause them to have the fear of going home also through all of this. Death card. Well, normally death would be transformation, but in this case, since this is Kung Fu fighting, and I believe that, you know, I believe they are physically hurt, we are going to leave that as death. Eight of Pentacles. Yes, these are hard-working individuals, these privileged ones that do all this testing on, and they are hard-working individuals, and they don't want to miss a single detail about what happens to these people. Yeah, they might become suspect, but there is, again, somebody who runs the entire show, and they are very, very, very important people, or an important person. They're the emperor. They're in charge of everything. The Magician. I really do believe that these people, the ones who pass on, are able to get their messages across to those people who are willing to fight for these people. And they help them in the process, the way that it looks. So let us get these cleaned up again and move on to question 4. So if you like this content, please feel free to like and subscribe. Also, share if you know anybody who's interested in this kind of information or these shows. And also, I'd love it if you would comment. If you're seeing something in the cards that I'm not seeing, I'd love to hear it. I would. What your interpretation is, or just your thoughts on, you know, this kind of experimentation, and kind of keep it clean, because I really don't want my site being taken down, or my YouTube channel being taken down for anything, and they do take a look at comments too. So let's move on to question 4. How are participants chosen? Are some of us unknowingly involved? So is it random citizens? Are they people they consider disposable? Are they abductees? Who are they? Who are the participants? There's that Kung Fu fighting again. I'm going to take a next card for this one. I almost think that it isn't just the unique people. It is those who have spent a lot of time training themselves in some kind of discipline. And I swear they want to try and break them. Backdraft. Yeah, they want to take what they've learned and burn them with it. Show them that is, no matter what they do, they've wasted their time learning whatever this is, whatever they've focused their minds on. Maybe they're, gold winners as gymnasts, so flexible and, but how flexible can you be before you break, kind of thing. Or, can we contort you enough to stuff you in here and make you stay there for, it could be really horrible. Really horrible. They live. If we had a pair of glasses, if these people had a pair of glasses that could show them the monsters that they will be dealing with, that would be ever so helpful. So when it says, how are participants chosen? And we've discussed this one. Backdraft can also be those who do dangerous things in their life. Okay, maybe there are ones who are firefighters. Maybe they are people who love to do adventurous things like climb mountains and things like that. And they will take those people and put them through situations that they never dreamed of ever going through, because the rate of survival is probably pretty nil. Then we have Blues Brothers, and the unfortunate thing is we don't have glasses like this, and these people probably, they may be caught eventually, okay, but they're privileged. So chances of them being caught, and they maybe do believe that they are on a mission from God. Uncle Albert and Admiral Halsey, Aaron Brockovich, and Don't Look Back. So I'm looking at Uncle Albert and Admiral Halsey, and this is the card of absurdity, the card of the upside down. If you've ever seen the show Stranger Things, the upside down is there, and it's not a great place. And that's what this is about. These people are, what's being done to them is absurd, and it is kind of like being in the upside down. Aaron Brockovich, a lot of it is company backed. I'm thinking large company backed. And if they, if you were to ask them, they would say, "Oh, well, I'm called to do this. This is my higher purpose in life." This would be the privileged that are, saying this, and these companies that are backing it. So then we have the Five of Wands again. So yes, there's a lot of different places that they're doing this, and they're treating these people like pawns on a chessboard. And some of them may be, taken at random also, but most of them, there's reasons. Nine of Cups. I feel like to some degree, they might take people who have had extremely severe injuries and put them through those same things again and make them sustain those injuries again. Maybe not for real, but it's like a reflection, like they're remembering, or somehow that's what they're seeing. Ugh, geez. Justice. Yeah, it would even the scales if we could see them. It would even things out. They wouldn't get as many of the people as they get. King of Cups. Yeah, they come across as very caring people. Who they send to gather these people, or, you know, if they're trying to get them to come willingly, who they send is very practiced, very, just comes across as such a caring individual. He's powerful, but he comes across, and very convincing, but comes across as very caring. We're on a mission from God. We can help you. Yep. Then we have the Hanged Man. Notice it's the upside down. Can you see her? She's upside down. That's the kind of place they're taken to. Ugh. Then we have the Four of Cups. Not all large companies are in on this, but many of them are. The Lovers. This is the Choice card. Yeah, they claim they are being called to do this, but they have a choice. They really do. All right, you have to be a special kind of person to do these kinds of experiments on other people. Special kind of person. Okay, and now, once these are picked up, we will move on to question 5 already. This has all been pretty straightforward, for sure. Not the most pleasant reading, but pretty straightforward. Oh, get back up there. All right, so question 5. What are the psychological, spiritual, or energetic consequences of such experiments? Are our thoughts and emotions still our own, or ever our own again? What are the psychological, spiritual, or energetic consequences of such experiments? Well, we're put through so much, that we end up being easily pushed. You could push us over with a feather, the ones who survive. We just really have no backbone left. So I would imagine that's probably spiritually broken. But there's also the other side of the spectrum, is that we are easily manipulated to do this kind of thing. Can you see the word here? Right there? Maybe they're used for that too. All right, so I don't remember if I did this because I was into the reading here, but all right. Man in the Iron Mask. They no longer know who they are, most of them. Have no clue. The ones that are still around, they have no clue. So psychologically, I guess you could say their minds have probably been wiped, completely wiped. Or they've just gone crazy. Black and white. Yep. Same as before. This is just all black and white. There's no gray areas here. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And this is what you're going to do. And this is how you're going to do it. Yeah. Because if not, remember how Kung Fu was in the center before? Yeah. They're made to do it. the butcher's wife. I feel as though some of these people take on a split personality also. Maybe more than one. They become perhaps schizophrenic. We have Demolition Man. Some become very violent. Hidalgo. And Legally Blonde. I'm going to say some of them, once it's all said and done, once they've, held on as tightly as they possibly can to their power, to their, just as stubborn as they can be, in the tail end, they have nothing left. No energy whatsoever. It's gone. And they are very simple. The ones who are still here, very, very simple in the mind. Almost like children again. So let's see what tarot has to add. I hate sometimes to affiliate some of these movies with this kind of subject matter because, like Hidalgo, fantastic movie. Butcher's Wife, fantastic movie. Man in the Iron Mask, all of these are fantastic movies. Some of them belong with this kind of category of questioning. Some do not. All right, so pushover, we have the Empress. They're so creative in how they make us become, or make these people become pushovers. They're so creative. Ten of Swords. They know how to offer the ultimate pain, and it's usually in the mind. Completes the mind, just takes the mind away. Four of Pentacles. Again, it's black and white. You either do what we tell you to, or there's nobody left at home. Meaning, none of the loved ones they have will survive. Butcher's Wife. We've got the King of Cups. Again, this is the guy that was here the last time. Seems so caring and loving, and I think he's the one that works really hard to create schizophrenic type minds. Three of Cups. Yeah, I see them pitting people against one another under the guise of caring. Yeah. Judgment. Again, these people are called to do this. This is what they truly believe they're called to do. Ace of Cups. Yep. They're so emotionally simple by the time all of this is done. All this experimentation. If they've survived, they are just emotionally simple. All right, so moving on to the last question. Yeah, I guess this kind of fits. I mean, this is X-Files inspired. And, if you look at the X-Files show, the way that they're put together, it's not meant to be a show of love and light by any means. A lot of it is very dark. And I would say this reading is definitely not a love and light kind of reading. But, there are some truths in the world that we probably would prefer never to know. Yet it's still there, and it eventually comes out in these shows. All right, so question 6. What hidden agenda connects these experiments to humanity's future? So are they trying to just control, or is it about evolution or transhumanism? Or are they preparing us for something beyond Earth? What hidden agenda connects these experiments to humanity's future? Oh, supposed to make us better people, or make them better people, the privileged. Let's see where this goes. Groundhog Day. Oh, good grief. This is not necessarily a hidden agenda per se. Well, it is in a way. But this is what keeps the privileged from feeling as though they're just living a routine life. Every time they get a new person or a new subject or whatever, it's like starting anew. And if I'm looking disgusted, it's because I am. Okay, so continuing on. Cool change. I think they really believe, well, and again, this is what makes them calm. It's what makes them, it's their rhythm. It makes them feel good. It's very healing and cleansing to them. Excuse me. I think I had a mosquito just land on me. Man in the Iron Mask again. Yeah, this is the common everyday people. They don't want us to know who we really are. They don't. They don't want us to know who we really are. They want to always have us behind some mask. Thus, the experiments that they do are a way to find out how far they can push us. Excuse me, there it is again. What breaks us? Don't look back. Yeah, it was their epiphany. Somebody had an epiphany that said, yeah, we can play this game. We can experiment in this way on these people to see how far we can push them. And every day is going to be an adventure for us. iRobot and Dr. No. Yeah, it's a way to, their hidden agenda is just to make sure that we are all just very robotic. No individuals whatsoever, just robotic. Absolutely robotic. And because part of the experimentation is when, excuse me, my nose itches, when we're ill or not allowing any kind of health help is another way in which they do it, because, well, I think they enjoy seeing us go bye-bye also. All right, so let us pull the last of the tarot here. Sorry about the grabs in the air, but there is a mosquito in here, and it is doing its best to get me. All right, so we have 8 of Swords. Yeah, I feel like by making us feel as though we are trapped, like we have no choice, makes them, their day just, whew, it's a great day. The more that they can do that to us, the better they feel. 4 of Wands. Yeah, they don't want their lives to be boring. They want to feel on top of the world always. They want their energy to be ever so powerfully wonderful and to feel at home doing their experiments because they should. 3 of Wands. Yeah, it's a very special gateway they have to cross through. Very special. And they go from looking like these nice, calm, sweet people to, look at her hair. Looks like snakes. I think they change. King of Swords. This man is a very powerful man where communication is concerned. Truth, where communication and truth is concerned. And what we said here is factual. They want to just take the common person and break us. Knight of Wands. Yeah, this was somebody's epiphany going, whoa, if we do this, our lives are going to be exciting. And that's the energy they moved forward with. Let's put as many people in that iron mask as we possibly can. 8 of Wands, let's take away their individuality as fast as we possibly can. Let's move with it. The Hermit. Let's make them feel alone, especially when they're sick. Let's make them feel alone. So with all of this, okay, this is telling us what these privileged people want or what they get out of it. But is there a bigger agenda? Is there a bigger agenda? We're going to pull one oracle card and one tarot card to see if there is a bigger agenda here than just how they feel and that they're called to do it. I feel like there's more to it than that, other than obviously they want to minimize us as much as possible, have fun with us like we're their toys. But we're going to just see if there's anything else. Anything else at all. Then we'll wind this up. Okay. Well, let's see. Which pile should I use? Which one feels right? This one's calling. All right. So is there a bigger agenda? As the question did ask, what hidden agenda connects these experiments to humanity's future? What is the big agenda? Why are they doing all of these experiments for real? For the energy, they need the energy. It's what keeps them alive. Our pain, our suffering, our chaotic energy, it keeps them alive. Let's see what tarot adds. Three of Wands. Yeah, it adds to their energy. The 3 is growth. Wands is energy. It's energy growth. They need our energy. That's the main reason behind all of these experiments. They get something out of it where the energy is concerned. It keeps them going. Okay, so that is it for this episode of the X-Files number 5. I'm going to give you a teaser now for episode 6 for next week. Coming next, he's the shadow in the corner of every classified room. But was the X-Files' most secretive villain more than fiction? In the next episode, we'll use tarot to ask, could the cigarette-smoking man be based on a real operative or something even darker? Don't miss it. And you will see on the screen that there is a show schedule. You'll see that I do 3 different shows each week. So if you like X-Files, you might like Stranger Things, and you might like Twilight Zone. So take a look at those if you're so inclined. And with all that said, I thank you so much for being here with me, and I hope you made it to the end. And anyway, until next week, hope you have a great one. Take care.